Yesterday, we brought Mike Daniels in. We signed him to our roster, and this morning we released Theo Riddick. So we're at 90 right now. We had a good visit with Mike. Obviously, a good player that was released, from his previous team, and someone we brought in, had a good conversation with, and think hopefully helps us get better. So should be another good day out at practice today. Obviously we're in pads today, so it's a little bit of a different atmosphere. Trying to be smart here with 3 days in a row. So for us, from that standpoint, going to see a lot of individual type work, fundamental stuff with the coaches. We got some kind of group periods planned, offense versus defense type drills, where we're kind of working run and pass keys, because that's really the biggest thing for us right now. From once we get pads on, is trying to decipher the difference between the run and pass plays, and offensively trying to make the run plays or the play action plays look like the run, and same thing defensively trying to figure it out. So try to do that in small groups to start, so the keys are kind of narrowed down, and then we'll build it to the larger team periods and things like that. So not as much team maybe as what you've seen the last couple of days, but a little bit more group kind of work and a lot of movement through the field, which is good for us because that kind of builds our transition phases, which is what we want to do. So with special teams mixed into it, should be pretty fast, moving pace practice, and we're excited to get out there and get another day. Just good for us right now. Again, like I said, just to be in rhythm, kind of we go from meeting, everything kind of picks up, the intensity picks up, the flow of the meetings pick up, the flow of practice picks up, and starting to get a little bit of temperature, which is nice. And go out there and work hard today. So it's really what we want to get done. But just one other thing for practicers, as you're watching, the last couple of days we've really been in the mode of kind of the red area situation. We'll move more to the field, so you'll see a lot more stuff kind of out in the the spaces. From the 30, 25 going out, from the offensive perspective. So once you do that, you lengthen the field. So hopefully we can see some more things downfield from that standpoint too, and try to work the ball as much as we can in all areas. So that's what you should see today.
Okay. Why make the move on from Theo so early?
Well, I think just in general, we're always going to try to do what's best for the team, as we look at all of it. And certainly we're trying to manage all 90 guys on the roster so that we can go out and practice with all the different bodies and moving parts that we have. And that was just the decision we made at that time.
Question from last year, what was
again, I'm not really going to get into the details of it more than just, for us and the team and where we're going right now and kind of some of the things we see and the depth that we have in certain positions. And I would say, obviously bringing in Mike, we need to find a spot. And for us, Theo, obviously is a great professional. He's a great player. He did a lot of great things for us, through the course of the years. And we have all the respect in the world for everything that he's done. But, in any of those situations, we're just going to try to do what's best for the team.
He produced a lot for you in the passing game over the years. Who do you like replacing that kind of role?
Yeah, I think we're still in the middle of competing with all that stuff. But certainly I think all those guys kind of that have been in the backfield and certainly with the different guys that we have now in the tight end position. When you look at just the core inside part of the offense, obviously the receiver position, we feel pretty good too about the competition out there. So that gives us some options to go along with it. So there's different creative ways that we can get some of that production from other players or different personnel groups, maybe different sets, different looks. And we'll explore that as we go through training camp and find out, who can do it the best and help us in producing those areas. And certainly, some of the players that you saw on the field last year that were able to do some of those things in the passing game, coming out of the backfield, we expect them to do that, again this year too.
C.J. Anderson might not be a one-for-one comparison, but what is it that you liked about him that adds to that whole running back?
Sure. Yeah, well, look, CJ, I have the utmost respect in the world for him and going against him for a lot of years and the type of player that he is. He's an extremely intelligent player. He does a lot of different things. In the run game specifically, I think through the course of his career, he's proven he's a productive back. He's a guy that runs the ball extremely hard. He's a difficult guy to tackle. He can get the ball vertical into the defense pretty quickly. And I think he's a guy that's really hard to tackle. So I'm excited to see, him today mixing in with the offense as we build the run game from that standpoint. I think he just gives us that toughness, that element of an attitude in the run game that we want and we need. And I'm looking forward to, seeing what that looks like through the course of training camp. So that's exciting. Through the course of his career, he's also done a lot in pass protection too. I've gone a couple rounds with him between defensive blitz schemes and him in pass protections on third downs and stuff. And he's really smart. This is a guy that studies the game all the time. He's like a football junkie. He and I will go back and forth between games that, it was like, 4 or 5 years ago, and he's like, hey, you remember this game? What was that blitz? How you got me on this one? The guy came, he didn't come. Mayo looked like he was coming, he ducked out. So, like, those conversations are great. It's fun. But what it does is, the cerebral level that he prepares, the game, prepares for the game with is something that's, it's at a high level, really high level. I know we had one right there. Okay, go ahead.
Oh yeah, is a safe bet that you're going to use the tight end position a little bit more for short yards running, throwing the ball to?
Sure.
You know what? It's hard to say safe bet because I don't really know what's going to happen with any of that. But certainly the tight end group is, those guys are important in some of those critical situations. We discussed it a little bit yesterday. I think all those situations, short yardage, red area, 2 minutes, third down. Well, those areas, tight end position becomes real critical. And then first and second down, the offense is always going to try to do what they can to best attack the defense that the defense runs in those situations. And having those skilled players and the tight ends, which are kind of, both obviously involved in the run game and the passing game, those are critical positions for us.
Feel more.
There's certainly ways to do that. And I would say in the trend in the NFL with offenses, and this has been for the last couple years, is the multiple tight end sets, but also being able to expand the formations, open up the formations, put those guys into space. These guys are a lot more athletic in space. They can make some really good catches. They're big catch radius guys. They're fast, they're long, and that's really good for the offense. It's really good for the quarterback, especially when you're trying to control the middle of the field.
One more on the
Coach,
Yes,
signing
come back.
a player like Daniels, what does that add to a player like that caliber, add to your defense specifically?
Well, I think for us, hopefully, we're going to add someone that's I have a lot of respect for, a guy that's had, really good production from a standpoint of the way that he plays and his, the mental approach he takes to the game. He's very intense. He loves football. He's one of those guys that just comes to work every day. He's a blue-collar guy. He's one of those guys that loves the grind of the game. Another guy that's, very smart when you talk to him about different schemes and different things that he can do. Very aware, obviously, of the division, which is nice. So, he's got some good insight there, which will help us. And I think just that intensity that he's going to bring is going to help, the entire team, but obviously the guys in that room. And, we got some great players in there, but hopefully we all just kind of, make each other better.
Sort of feeds off what you just said at the end there. I know you want to be strong in every position group, but you guys have built a really strong, really deep defensive line. When you have a strong defensive line, what does that allow a team to do? What does it allow a defense to do?
Yeah, well, it's a great question. And defensive line, I think right now is one of those groups. There's a lot of different positions within the position, if that makes any sense. So being able to have the multiplicity within a defensive line group, I think always makes it difficult for the offense. I think it puts a lot of pressure on the quarterback and the center to identify who everybody is and what positions they play and where they're lined up. And that really affects protection, mic points, how many guys are down. There's just, when you start talking about, and this ties into a lot of times I talk about the offensive line and everybody seeing things through the same set of eyes and 5 guys. Well, there's rules that go along with that. So the different looks, is it 5 down? Is it 4 down? Is it 3 down? Is it, who's the floater? All those different comments, mic points that they have to all be on the same page. When those guys start moving around or lining up in different positions or playing different roles, obviously that becomes much more difficult, and there's a time element to where they have to get it off before the play clock runs down. So trying to do those things and keep guys at bay for us is great. We love doing it. So having that multiplicity with the guys that we have right now is, it's exciting. We'll see, but it's exciting.
Carrion said late last year that his focus in the offseason was really to prepare his body so that he could make it 16 games. Obviously only went 10, before the knee. Just curious, what kind of shape he came into camp in and what you've seen from him maybe early on.
Yeah, I would say, Carrion's real insightful. He's a really smart guy and truthful. So it's a great statement by him. And he took that to heart and he went to work in the offseason and really made improvements with his body. He's smart from that aspect of it and he trained hard. And you think about it from the rookie season to your second season, it's really the first spring he's able to do that. He wasn't able to do that last spring coming out of college. You're doing combine work, you're doing draft trips, you're got visits. Your schedule's interrupted, the entire process through, you finally get into an NFL team. So for him to really just have that stability of a normal schedule, just kind of being able to go out and work every single day to improve and get better, he did a great job of that. We'll see as we transfer into football. I told the guys this morning, one of the biggest things for me is, it's great as we go through the spring and as we come off of the summer break, I talk about conditioning and we talk about getting in shape and how to, be stronger in that avenue. But it's something when you put the pads on and you throw the helmet on and you got the shoulder pads on and now, the strap's going to constrict how far your rib cage can expand when you're trying to breathe and you got different weight on your legs. Football shape's an entirely different thing, and we have to do it. The only way to do it is to get the equipment on, go out there and practice with repetition to get our bodies used to that. There's portion of your body that goes through just, getting used to being hit. It's no different than boxers that when they spar and they go in the ring and, a guy's throwing a medicine ball into his stomach 1,000 times. He's got to get used to getting hit. Our players go through the same process. They have to get used to getting hit so that they know how their body's going to react when it happens in a game. You think you might have great ball security and you get into the game and you get popped really hard and all of a sudden you forget about the ball security or the ball control and the ball gets loose and now you're not as productive as a player as you should be because you haven't practiced it properly. So those things are really important for us from that standpoint. One more?
The running back depth. I know you talked about him a little bit before the break, but just what have you seen from Ty Johnson in these early practices?
Sure. Okay, well, I've seen he's got a lot of work to do, so we all know that, right? He has really good speed and quickness. I think everyone can see that out on the field. But he also works really hard at the game. So I would say some of the things that we're trying to install, which is good because everyone's at the ground level, which is great. So it's easy to kind of compare everybody as opposed to maybe a vet that's been in an offensive system for 5 or 6 years who has so much of a head start over a young guy. I would say that his ability to keep pace with everything that we're putting in right now from the mental side of it has been on track with everybody else. So that gives him an opportunity now to be able to go out and be in the reps with everybody else, knowing that there's not going to be any mental errors or mistakes from that standpoint. And then you can really see what kind of physical ability he has out on the field, if that makes any sense.